What's good, YouTube fam? It's your boy Tony, aka the Senator Chaos and Controversy, and there's been something I've been meaning to address for some time now, and I have put it off because I really wanted to get my thoughts together on this before I decide to address this. And I think that I'm at a point now where I feel comfortable talking about it. Okay, so I notice a pattern when it comes to the condescending tone when you see people observe countless videos of police interactions with those of the individuals within the black community, okay, and others as well. And the first go-to narrative that is entertained is bringing up that person's background, their criminal history, or their record, or what have you, right? And what's funny is you got some of those same people who are quick to condemn somebody to justify the cops' brutality or them using excessive force or them going to the extreme of actually killing somebody. Okay? That person's past record or criminal record is a justification to avoid due process. Okay? But those same people that sit on that pedestal will be the first ones to entertain that the past doesn't define you. Be so quick to tell people when speaking on the past, when pointing out certain things in history that tends to get them all in their feelings, that tends to offend them in some shape, form, or fashion. But those same people have no problem with pointing the finger at you. It's all about them not having a mirror held to their face, but steady looking at you with that judgmental attitude. Okay. So, with that being said, let's talk about people with a past. Now, the one go-to example, I've listened to him talk about where he was to where he is today, this, that, and everything else. Now, why is it that only those that are accepted and selected can have a fucked up background? But as soon as they get into the good graces of those who they, how should I say, pander to, them having a criminal history because they decided to join law enforcement, because they are now a public figure, all is forgiven. But someone else who may have had some of those same poor choices growing up in life was problematic. Did things they shouldn't have done, but then took a step back, looked at themselves, didn't like what they saw, and said, I needed to make a change, and did just that and bettered themselves. But say they got to some particular position or what have you, and say you always get those people that always try to look for something about that particular person, especially if they despise and don't like them. They go digging around in their background to see what kind of dirt they could pull up and weaponize that and use that against that person. No matter of how far they came from where they were to where they are now. But these are the same people that tell you, stop bringing up the past. Interesting. What's also interesting is that there are those within that same group, especially if they got, so you know there's no accountability, right? So they could do some fucked up shit. They could go out with their buddies, drinking or getting fucked up, drugging and stuff. Um, belong to certain, how should I say, social constructs that only they are allowed in and others aren't, and go out and say there was a hit and run. Say somebody was like riding a bike or something like that. Huh. That person is no longer alive because of the poor choices of these particular individuals. But since mommy and daddy got money, there's no jail time. Records are sealed. Can't even say that they even got a record because mommy and daddy fixed that. So you can't go and dig up their background and do what they do to you to weaponize their past against them. Very interesting. Very interesting, needless to say. See, I sit back and I listen to a lot of people and I hear a lot of topics being discussed. And I sit there and I analyze stuff and I break it down and dissect it. Because if you only look at one little portion of something, you tend to conveniently disregard and dismiss everything else. So when you come back to try to present your argument, you only come across with half-ass, how should I say, talking points to support your argument. And I try to be well-rounded in some things. In most cases, I don't have all the accuracy in regards to the details to support my talking points. And basically, I go off of opinions based on what I've seen, based on what I observed. Some, have an element of my own personal experiences from what I've seen personally. Talking with other individuals, engaging in conversations with certain groups and stuff like that. So a lot of my sources is based off of that, and then just going down like other people's experiences, other people's like perspectives and stuff like that, and then from there I try to put things in the collective, and then say, okay, you know what, I have my point of view, but let me start, giving it some structure when I laid out this topic of discussion, because people always tend to always just look at one aspect of things. And then when you ask them to like, okay, I understand your point and I see where you're coming from, but how does that bring validation to only just that area and just be in total or utter disregard in others? How is it acceptable over here but not acceptable over there? How is it that certain people can do what they do and there's no accountability, but for anyone else, their foot is held to the fire? And if you think about holding the other group who is never held accountable for something, hold their foot to the fire, that's forbidden. And if you bring up that point to challenge that, what is the purpose of the pushback? Why don't people take a step back and say, you know what? You bring up a good point. I see where you're coming from. And then when you break down the why is it like this? Should it be like this? Is there justice behind the perception that brings about the decisions that are made to condemn somebody? Justified? And when people take notice of certain things, they store it. Because it's like, oh, okay, I see what's going on. So you can't condemn this group, but you can condemn that group. You can't say nothing about this group, but that group can continuously demonize, stereotype, say what they want, give their opinions, have others co-sign off on those opinions, this, that, and everything else. And that's acceptable. But if you bring that same energy and that same, how should I say, what's the word that I'm looking for? Behavior by design, and apply to those who put that on others, you're wrong for that. Help me understand that. Help me understand that. See, I don't I don't judge people. Yes, I point out certain things because if something has yet to be corrected and we continue repeating the same whatever and people are still going through being subjected to the behaviors of others because you get people that disregard or want to be dismissive, deflect from and not want to address it and say, it doesn't affect me. Maybe if this person here or maybe that person over there, but don't look at the person who's the antagonist. And that's the reason why the antagonists can keep on antagonizing people because they got people that co-sign and protect them. And then you get the, well, we're not all like that. Okay. You want me to agree with you? Well, if that's the case, then have that same energy, have that same attitude when other people say, we are not all like that. Fair is fair, right? Anyway, that's all I got. Until next time, until next video, please like, share, and subscribe. Peace.